Hello, one and all, and welcome to the third round of the first season for the AOR Pro Mazda Championship from Road Atlanta. My name is Justin, and joining me once again is Andre.
Hello again, pleasure to be here, folks. I'm very looking forward to this race indeed. Jordan Howson might lead the championship as it stands. I'm looking forward to seeing how he can deal with not one, but two very dangerous threats from Nuclear Racing today.
Yep, that's going to be a tough one for sure. A 44-lap race of the 2.5-mile circuit await the drivers in the race today. But let's find out what happened in qualifying, starting with a side-by-side qualifying comparison from Crekkan.
Road Atlanta is one of our quickest circuits of the year, 44 laps around this iconic circuit here in America, as we're on board with Kerry Nolden and Rico Alatalo once again for the qualifying comparison. Now, watch the two drivers take a wide entry into here to try and capitalise and keep as much speed as possible, going up the hill into the blind turn 2. Clipping the curve and Kerry actually getting onto the gravel as we go down the S's, Kerry actually getting a tow from what appears to be his teammate as we go into this next corner, going onto the curbing, trying not to go too far up to get an off track. Kerry still getting a tow from his teammate as we head down into this nice canvas section where you can just throw the car in and hope it sticks. Another little kink in the curbing as Nolden nearly cancels out his time using all the curbing by accident. And now, while Alatalo doesn't have a tow, Nolden does, and this helps claw him back all the time he lost during those errors. As we go down the hill, just prepare yourselves for the chicane. Kerry's teammate pulls off to the side, Nolden pulls back onto the racing line as we go into this nice kink section up into the hill, and then it's just going down the hill full speed ahead as Nolden has a little bit of lag as we watch Alatalo finish his lap to take pole by a tenth of a second.
So for the first time this season, it is Alatalo on pole, but for the third time running, Nolden is on the front row. Championship leader Howson sits in third alongside race winner Nukkarainen. Colin Cunniff shares the third row with Phil Reed, and Valky Jarvi occupies the fourth row with Patrick White. Rounding out the top 10 are Alexander Trowbridge and Gregor Reineck Jr. Martinson starts his race from 11th, followed very closely by Robinson and Leister, less than half a tenth separating them in qualifying. John Broadmeadow qualified in 14th and is followed by an incredibly close group of 5 qualifiers. Merck, Mittner, Vandenbroek, Wiseman, and Lukens were separated by less than half a tenth, while Lewis wraps up the top 20. Bringing up the rear of the field is Nigel Spears, Cam Stark, Kirill Merkulitz, Peter Newman, Ryan Winsper, Vittorio Saltalamacchia, Robert Plumley, Daniel Evans, and Chris Frazier. Welcome back, everyone. For the second race running, Riku Alatalo starts from pole position, and once again he shares the front roll with Nolden as they're waiting for the lights to turn green, and they're already away. The lights are very quick today, and it looks like the top 4 all slotting into their positions, while Phil Reed try to go around the outside of Howson into turn 1, and it is a very, very busy turn 1 right now, Dre. Lots of cars going side by side. I think he even saw some 3-wide battles.
Yep, 3 wide, and I'm not sure that's the best place you want to be when you've got the hill and the crest coming up. You can't even see it, and you've got 2 cars on either side of you. It's going to be a very nerve-wracking first lap for some of these drivers in the midfield, I'm sure.
Yep, coming into the S's now. Certainly, yeah, you can see the cars starting to filter down. Oh no, and it looks like we've already got a car off. I do believe that's John Broadmeadow, the number 19 car, and he's going to be losing several positions. But yeah, everybody trying to go single file through the S's because you really don't want to be going side by side through there. You're just going to end up losing loads of time to the cars up ahead. And I believe that's Mittner just ahead of him in that pure white car, just all white. Nothing going on his livery, and we've got some more 3-wide, possibly going to make it 5-wide if Saltalamacchia gets involved here. Coming down the straight.
No room to breathe here down this straight. It's going to be very nerve-wracking. It's a very, very long straight as well. It's going to be your main place to pass on this race.
Yep, for sure. Coming into turn 10 here, that is going to be a very popular passing location as the driver's now starting lap 2. Kerry Nolden in front at the moment, so he did manage to jump into the lead in the opening lap. Having a look right now at Martinson, who is defending from Patrick White, I believe, and Martinson has gone very wide. Yeah, good spot, very wide. He's cutting across the grass there. He was running in 11th at the time that happened. I do believe he has lost a position to Patrick White at least, and he is definitely going to have a slowdown penalty for cutting that much of the track. And he's got someone right behind him. I think that's Robinson that's just behind him. And
he touched there as well.
Oh yeah, very close to having contact there. Thankfully they didn't, and he definitely seems to be slowing down. He's got his teammate right behind him. That's Neil Lukens, and he's nearly spun off the track, and it looks like that's going to lose him a position to Andreas Merck. And Fizzy definitely going slow down the straight.
I've made a bit of an error. Understead wide at turn 1, and I rejoined the track, got a slowdown warning despite losing time. And clearly I must have not slowed down fast enough, because I now have an 18-second stop-go penalty. A bit harsh.
I would have to agree that is a bit harsh. An 18-second stop-go penalty for Martinson. He's going to have to come into the pits and serve that. That is very unfortunate. Not a great way to start his race.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. That's the worst time he could get a penalty of that kind, when the field is all bunched up together. You know, the upside is allow some clean air on the way out, but obviously with having the entire field together, he's going to essentially be at the back of the field. That's a very, very harsh penalty in my opinion, but it's just got to be done, unfortunately. That's very unfortunate for Martinson there.
Yeah, not much he can do about it. Really can't appeal to the stewards or anything like that. So yeah, he's just going to have to try and minimize his damage loss. I mean, that is definitely going to drop him right down into last place. But as you said, that is going to give him some clear air. I'm not sure if that's going to gain him time or lose him time, though, with the slipstream that you get coming out of turn 7 on the run down towards turn 10, which we're seeing right now. This long train of cars, they're going to be going that much faster because they're in the slipstream of the car ahead. So Martinson might even lose out extra by dropping out of the pack and not having that slipstream.
Fast attempt for the lead here right now. It's looking like Alatalo there's gone down the inside of Nolan to take the lead as they go up and down the hill to start lap 4 of 44. So you have a change for the lead, and now Nolan's under pressure from Mika Rainen as well. His teammate now down the home stretch towards turn 1 in this battle for the lead here. We've got Mika Rainen is going to have a little look into turn 1, doesn't quite pull it off on this occasion.
Yeah, just having a little peek. Certainly, that's got to be a little bit worrisome for Nolden here. He's already been passed by one nuclear racing car. He's got another one right behind him that's pressuring him, riding that gearbox, just really letting him know he's there. Meanwhile, not far behind them, still in this group. Oh, man, as Nuka Rainen has a big trip off the track there. I'm sure he's going to be changing his underpants after the race after that kind of incident. That was a little concerning for sure. But he didn't lose any time. In fact, you can see he is right up on the back of Kerry at the moment as they come onto this back straight. Hausen doing a great job of sticking with them. And then I do believe that's one of the YI race cars running in fifth position at the moment. Yep, so here we are with Hausen, currently running in 4th position, getting a great look at Nolden trying to take back that lead, and he just cruises right by, and now the Nuclear boys are having a little scrap as Nuka Rainen goes up into 3rd, and now Alatalo is coming under attack from Hausen, and it looks like Hausen's done it. He's moved himself up into 3rd, so that's very surprising. And it looks like he's going to be coming under attack once again. He's going to have to defend the inside line for turn 1. Not a great lap 4 there for Jonas Nuka Rainen.
Nuka Rainen went into complete meltdown there in that second half of that last lap right there, just completely swamped, and that's the disadvantage of being in a pack this tight early on. One wrong move and you could be under pressure from 2, 3, 4 cars at once. Here in the early going of this race, you can still see the lead and pack very, very close together.
I do apologize. That was Alatalo, not Nuka Rainen. My apologies, everybody. But yeah, so that is Alatalo, the pole sitter that has dropped down to 4th place. Certainly, again, not the best start to his race. And in fact, if he's not careful, he's going to have Colin Cuniff on the back of him there. He's going to be having a look. Just behind him is Phil Reed as well. So he's got to be real careful, otherwise he might end up dropping numerous places. Here we are. We're going to get a replay of the start of the race. Go ahead and talk us through this, Greg.
Yep, Alatalo there gets a decent start there. He's immediately under pressure from Nolden there, who's got the slipstream into turn 1, but not ideal to be able to make a pass around the outside there. Howson has gone a little bit wide through turn 1 as well, but he hasn't really lost out very much there in the process. Now on board with Gino van den Broek as well from the midfield here as we come down the other side of the hill, and I think this is the moment where he and the, I think that was Broadmeadow there, made contact there, and we see one of the other cars there, Benson Hedges' car there coming over the right-hand side of the track. So here's the Broadmeadow on board cam representing Apex Racing, and he's gone a little bit wide down the other side of the hill. And that's very, very close. I'm not sure if there was contact there or not. It looked very, very marginal. But it looks like he's gone out of his way to try and avoid contact by cutting the corner a little bit there and running on the grass, and it's lost him about 4 places, which is unfortunate. You can see on the back side there of Crekkan's cam there, as it was, we call him the Crekkan round here, but Gino's camera there, very, very close.
For sure. And this is now a replay that I don't think we saw this live when it happened. This is now Cam Stark and Harley Lewis. They were bringing up, I believe, the tail end of the top 10, and it looks like Cam Stark's just been kind of nudged into the barrier there, and I think that might be his race just about over. Even if he does make it back to the pits, that's pretty much job done for him, and his day might be over. That was kind of running ahead of Howson now. Howson as well coming under attack from Phil Reed as they come through the final corner. He's very close, is Reed to Howson. He's going to have a little look at the inside of turn 1, but no, it doesn't look like he's got the speed. Howson still picking up that slipstream from Cunniff up ahead. As they start lap 7 here, going into this is turns 2, 3, and 4 before they get into the S's. Not quite flat out for all of those corners, but certainly coming down the hill. Very high speed corners are these. You want taking a lot of curb and then running very far out wide there. You can see people going into the dirt. That is just the racing line. Which certainly would be a little concerning for me personally. But Patrick White at the moment really piling on this pressure on Phil Reed, and it looks like Phil Reed is dropping off of Howson a little bit, so he might not have the slipstream to defend into turn 10 here.
Yeah, look, he looks vulnerable out there. I mean, being in the front of a pack is not where you want to be on this track, because after the fast winding section, the double right-hander, you've got this very, very long back straight, like I mentioned before. It's like I said, it's going to be the main place to pass people, and now an attempt round the outside here into the chicane, and it looks like he's pulled it off here, and he's come back inside. That's a very nice pass there.
Yeah, Reed's coming back at him. He's going to have to go around the outside of the final corner, though, which I don't think you can do. And no, he proves me right. And he has to slot back in. He is very close, though. It looks like he's got a little bit better exit speed. But that start-finish straight really just, it's not long enough. And also, turn 1 isn't slow enough. The braking for into turn 1 very, very small, as it's such a high-speed corner. So really, that's a difficult place to try and overtake somebody unless they really struggle through the final corner. Then you might actually be able to get a run on someone. Back at the front now, and it looks like Kerry's actually just about broken away from the Nuclear Racing boys. They are back in their podium positions of 2nd and 3rd. So I'm sure they're going to be happy to be back up there, while Cunniff is now relegated down into 4th, Howson in 5th at the moment. And there does seem to be a little bit of a gap forming behind Howson as well. Yep, there is indeed. But yeah, we're on board with one of the Nuclear Racing guys coming down. This is that long run down towards turn 10. Almost sort of a chicane. You know, maybe if the corners were a little bit closer to each other, it'd almost be a chicane. I think you probably could call that a chicane, but
just about
very high speed.
It barely qualifies, really.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of 2 corners. It's kind of a chicane, but it's very high speed either way. 3rd gear, I believe they're using through that corner. As we're starting lap 9 now, and running not too far behind. I'm not going to be picking up too much of a dirty air effect at this sort of distance. It shouldn't be too bad. And here we are into the turns 2, 3, and 4. This is 3 and into 4. And then we got the slight S section and into turn 5. And this is that part where the drivers just run really far out wide, because that is the line to take. I can tell you, just from knowledge of the track, though, that is not an off-track penalty. You don't get any sort of incident points or anything like that for running out there. As far as the track limits are concerned, that is 100% legal. So there's no rules being bended or broken at that corner.
You wouldn't think that by looking at it, would you? You'd think, oh my goodness, he's gone about 6 feet wide off the racing line. But no, that's just the nature of the track more than anything else. So as Justin quite rightly pointed out, no penalties being handed out for that. Don't worry, it's just a part of the racing line.
And Kerry, it looks like that gap that he was starting to build up to Alatalo, who is back in second place, Kerry, that gap has shrunken back down. I don't know if it was any mistake from Kerry necessarily. I certainly didn't spot any mistake from Kerry, but Alatalo right up on the back of him. It may have just been that toe on the way down to turn 10, because of course Kerry, one of the few drivers out on the track right now that isn't getting any sort of slipstream. Oh, and that is certainly not the best way to take turn 2. A little bit of oversteer at the exit there. That might put him under pressure from Alatalo here.
It has, yeah. They got a little bit out of shape there coming down the other side of the hill, and that's maybe given Alatalo maybe a little half temper. He's under pressure from his own teammate here, Nukkarainen here. It might have a little bit of a look into the first right-hander here under braking. This is good news for Kerry, having the two nuclear teammates dice with each other here. It allows Kerry to re-establish that gap he used to have. So hopefully he'll want to see these two nuclear racing guys very evenly matched here, going head-to-head at the moment, because that gives him the advantage as time goes on.
Yep, Kerry is gonna be praying that Nukkarainen can get up in there and start harassing Alatalo to the point where they start going side by side through multiple corners. It can't just be one or two. It's got to be a few of them if Kerry's really gonna try and break away from these guys. Alatalo is still maintaining that position ahead of his teammate though. They are coming up. That is Martinson up ahead in the AOR car. He is a lap down already. We're not even at the 25% mark in this race, not even a quarter of the way through the race, and he is already a lap down on his teammate, Nolden, which has got to be very disappointing for him. And I think that proves exactly what we were saying earlier, that actually pitting into clean air seems to actually have slowed down Martinson's pace, and he's just losing out even further. What he can do, so this is partially bad luck, partially good luck. He's not going to be on the lead lap anymore, but he can use the slipstream from these leaders, this top 3 group. As they pass him, he can start using that slipstream and maybe start clawing back some positions.
Yeah, why not? This seems to be a track where if you're in a pack, the toe is so beneficial here. You can just trade off each other's drafts all day long down this front straight. It might be worth maybe 4 tenths, 5 tenths, 6 tenths a lap extra just by being in somebody else's slipstream down this long straight, because it is very, very long, and we've mentioned this before. But as you can see, Fizzy there slowing down. You're not seeing double. That's just Fizzy slowing down to give Nolden his lap, and he might, if he's smart, he might try and stay with these front 3, or at least maybe Howson there in 4th place to try and, yeah, like you said, regain some of that advantage from being a lap down, because it looks like clean air is not entirely the best way to be unless your pace really is that good.
Yep, yeah, absolutely. I have to completely agree with you on that one. We have passed that 25% point in the race at the moment, and still the same at the top 3. And unfortunately for Martinson, he does appear to have dropped back actually. So I think he's already out of that slipstream. So that's very unfortunate for Martinson. Certainly he would have liked to try and improve his lap times as a result of being lapped if he's going to do anything. I do think there was possibly a little bit of team communication, a little bit of strategy involved between Nolden and Martinson there, though. Nolden got a nice toe for the first time in a number of laps. He got a nice toe off of Martinson, who was a lap down, of course. So that maybe made his job just that much easier on lap 11 as he was coming down towards turn 10. We can see right now Alatalo closing pretty significantly. There's not much left to this straight. We're just about into the braking zone. Nope, really couldn't get alongside or even close to alongside. But we could really see how much closer he is coming out of the turn 10 sequence there. Versus when they were coming onto the straight at the exit of turn 7. The gap has definitely come down significantly. You can see he's even playing more of those psychological games. He's letting Kerry know that he's right there at the inside, and that Kerry's not getting away.
Indeed, and you know, it's not like Kerry's been perfect up there. He's made a couple of little mistakes here and there. He lost shape just right here on this part of the track just a couple of laps ago. So in his wing mirrors, I'm sure it's just full of yellow nuclear racing all over left and right. And those guys themselves are also very close. So Kerry must be under a lot of pressure, but he seems to be doing a pretty good job of holding it at the moment.
Yeah, he sure does. And you know, fourth place as well is that still Housen? I can't quite see him in the background there. I do believe it is a lapped. Yeah, it's a lapped car that's behind him. Yeah, it is Housen, still running in fourth position and not too far back. In fact, Housen in the background there getting a little bit of a tow from that back marker, so maybe that might actually help him close down that gap. But Housen really showing in this race here why he's the championship leader. You know, he hasn't grabbed any pole positions, he hasn't won any races yet, but he's always up there with the front runners. He's always scoring good points. He seems to have very good consistency, and again, just it really no surprise that he is our current championship leader.
Yep, yes indeed. In my opinion, consistency will always be the big factor when it comes to winning a championship. And, you know, fourth place, it's not obviously wonderful, and he might lose a handful of points if this stays the way it is. But being in the top as many times as he can is obviously great for a championship. And in the grand scheme of things, I don't think anyone's going to really complain over a fourth place, given the pace difference between himself and the top three, which look like to be in a little bit of a higher level compared to Housen at the moment.
For sure, yeah. And this is a battle that's going on in the back here. I believe that's Andreas Merck, just ahead of Leanne Robinson. I'm trying to find out who the lead car is on this group. I think that might be... oh, is that Saltalamacchia? No, I'm sorry, that's Mittner. That's Mittner that's leading this group. Ahead of Merck, followed by Robinson, and then that's Lewis that's in the background there, Harley Lewis. I do believe that this is a battle for 12th, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sure we'll find out shortly here. But so the lead isn't the only place. Up at the front isn't the only place where we're seeing battling going on. We're getting closer and closer each lap, of course, to the halfway point of this race. And, of course, that pit window is going to be opening up here pretty soon. Previous races, you know, you can maybe do 70% race distance, 65% race distance without pitting. That's how long the fuel tank will get you. So hopefully, I'm sure we'll be looking to see pit stops maybe starting the next 15 laps or so, give or take. We might get some early pitters. Some of them, I'm sure, won't be that won't be their planned pit stop. But we're certainly getting closer and closer to that halfway point.
Indeed, yep. So as Justin mentioned, the tanks are good for about 70% race distance. So expect pit stops around lap maybe 28 to 32, that kind of window. You'd expect to see the front runners start to make their way into the pits. Also, I wonder with this front straight and the fact that the Nuclear Racing boys have been well within range of Kerry for quite a while now, for quite a handful of laps now. I wonder if they're staying behind on purpose tactically. Maybe not. Maybe they don't want to be in the lead at the moment because of the disadvantage of not having the slipstream. If you're in front, so maybe they're doing that on purpose for tactical reasons more than anything else. As I think if Riku or Eunice wanted to try and make a move on Kerry, they would have done so by now.
Yep, I gotta agree with you on that one too. I really do think that it might be strategy. You know, it's tough to tell. The lap times between these top three are minimal for sure. We're talking hundredths of a second generally for a lot of laps. But it wouldn't surprise me at all to learn that, in fact, the Nuclear guys are, you know, short shifting and lifting at the end of the straight and all those sort of things that will save you fuel in iRacing. All those things do actually work, just as if they were really driving these Star Mazdas, and they are going to be. Whether they're doing it intentionally or not, they are going to be doing better on fuel versus Kerry, who is running full throttle for a lot of the lap. I mean, Kerry's going to be burning up that fuel. Oh, no. As I believe that's Reed having a big moment coming out at the exit of Turn 5. That corner we were talking about earlier where people run very wide intentionally. Well, he ran even wider, and that has certainly not helped his day, as he's been put behind Gino Vandenbroek. So he lost at least one position. I think he may have lost both of those positions to the, I believe that's both ACR drivers up ahead. Yeah, that's Alexander Trowbridge and Gino Vandenbroek. They're going side by side, actually. We got a nice teammate battle developing here, and Gino Vandenbroek is going to have to go around the outside, but just so much distance ahead. He just had so much of a gap around the outside there that he really just breezed on through, made it look pretty easy. Phil Reed here, though, now coming under attack from Christoph Leister as well. So he's got to keep an eye as he's watching the ACR guys, and they're going to be going side by side into turn 1. And who's going to come out on top? I do believe, struggling to see the number. I do believe that Trowbridge
got passed on that one. Yeah, I believe Gino
nope. Yep, got repassed, exactly. So yeah, Vandenbroek loses out to Trowbridge at just a couple of corners after passing him here. And it's doing wonders for Phil Reed, who's trying to claw those positions back.
Exactly. They just let those two dice and, you know, pick off the opportunity when it comes, because the way these two are fighting, Trowbridge and Van Broek, are going to be they're going to be all over the place, and you know, I'm sure there'll be an opportunity and there'll be an open door to take advantage when the time comes. I mean, especially now, I'd expect one of the two cars to go side by side in a slipstream passing attempt, and there'll be a wide open passing lane for Reed there to try and get his way through. Here he comes down to splitting up, nearly 3 wide now, down the back straight towards the chicane. That slipstream is just so powerful. Now Reed's trying to find the way in between. Can't quite happen as Gino finds a way down the inside again. Great racing here in the midfield.
Yeah, fantastic stuff from the teammates here. Very respectful racing, which is what you would expect from two teammates that are going side by side at these sort of speeds with each other, because obviously the last thing that they want is to take each other out. So they're going to be starting lap 18 now, going through turn 1. And Phil Reed hanging in there as well. I did notice actually just behind this group as well was the other AOR driver of Neil Lukens in the number 33 car. He did appear to have some rear wing damage to his car though. So I'm not... I think he's actually a lap down on this group. Yeah, there's confirmation actually. He's actually a lap down on this group. So obviously AOR having a very difficult day for anybody that isn't named Kerry Nolden, as of course Martinson got that really stiff penalty in the opening stages of the race, and also Lukens in the back there having a rough race with his damaged rear wing, and yeah, he's already dropped off this group.
Yep, Kerry flying the flag for Team AOR at the moment, leading the charge, while the rest of the team's having quite a miserable day at the office by the sounds of it, as Trowbridge and Gino go at it once again into the chicane, and Reed having a look now as well, coming through the outside of the second part of the chicane. Can't quite make it stick, but he might be able to get in his toe down the hill and into turn 1 on the home stretch. Again, great race in this battle for 8th place. Down the home straight again, looking for a move maybe into the inside here. Not quite close enough on this occasion, but it's going to be absolutely bumper to front nose here as they go up and over the hill again to start lap 19 of 44.
Yeah, man, Reed is just harassing him at this point. I'm starting to feel a bit bad at this point. I mean, Reed is just all over the back of him, and I mean, you see that when you're driving these cars, you see that car in your rear view mirror, and you can't ignore someone when they're that close. It's a bit like Jurassic Park, where the objects appear larger than they appear. Vandenbroek. Yeah, he's got a T-Rex behind him in the form of Phil Reed, who is very close to him on this back straight. He is picking up the slipstream from his teammate up ahead. It does appear that Leister is getting a little bit closer now. Leister's now just been sitting back and kind of watching all of this unfold and maybe hoping for the best. He might be pulling the same type of strategy that Nuclear Racing is running. Vandenbroek up the inside. Oh no, and there's been contact. There's contact with Trowbridge. And that is very unfortunate. Trowbridge got lifted up off the air. Vandenbroek clearly has some front wing damage. Yeah, some severe front wing damage at the front right of his car. Trowbridge dives into the pits. He's going to go in for repairs. I couldn't tell exactly where the damage might be, but obviously something didn't feel right on his car, and he dives into the pits. And but Vandenbroek does continue on, so either he thinks the car is drivable enough, or he's just going to make it work and try and pit later on, because certainly, luckily for Trowbridge, though, at this point, he can put in a full tank of fuel and be able to make it to the end. So it could be a lot worse. This could have happened, you know, in the first 10 laps or in the final 10 laps. So it could have been worse for Trowbridge, but certainly the two teammates coming together like that's the last thing that Avid Chronic Racing wanted.
Yeah, that's the worst case scenario. That's the one situation that every team manager and every team boss dreads in a race like this. Your two teammates come together and collide and take each other out, and that's very, very unfortunate situation considering both drivers were due for some good points there as well. Both in the top 10, and both maybe one over-eager pass too many. I'd love to have seen an onboard cam from, well, at least one of the two drivers in that, so to see what was going on as Kerry's car disappears there for a moment under the lag bubble, or for the internet connections of some kind there, a little bit of lag to catch up with. But yeah, just a very unfortunate incident there for all involved. Obviously, Reed, the big winner out of all of that, as the two teammates collided. But yeah, very unfortunate situation there for the team.
And Leister as well. I was just mentioning Leister sitting there waiting in the wings for something to happen, and there it was. It happened, and this is Andreas Merck being lapped by the top three. I mean, they have really just separated themselves from the rest of the field at this point, as we're just about to the halfway point, coming to the end of lap 21 now. And yeah, a lot of blinking going on in the top three. Worth noting that when cars blink in iRacing, they no longer receive a slipstream, and they no longer give a slipstream either. So if, for instance, Alatalo starts blinking a whole lot, that's going to do wonders for Kerry, because not only is Alatalo going to stop receiving the slipstream, he's going to stop giving the slipstream to his teammate as well. So hopefully that doesn't, hopefully that doesn't come into effect, because nobody wants to see that. You know, we want to see these guys racing wheel to wheel, which certainly we've seen plenty of. But yeah, it does have effects on the slipstream in iRacing, which can certainly cause problems. They are all past Andreas Merck now. They're on lap 22's halfway point of the race, and still at this point, Kerry Nolden leading the pack.
Yeah, I mean, just to put it into perspective for you, and Andreas Merck is in 17th place, so they've already lapped nearly half the field. It's a crazy situation. He's getting on board of Trowbridge and Van den Broek here, and oh, that's how happened. Trowbridge has gone down the inside, and I don't think he saw Gino's car come across him there in the chicane, and there's been contact, and that's just a very, very ugly crash there. Here's Van den Broek's, he seems to just lose control through the chicane, and there's not much he could have done about that once the back's gone. And he's just collected into the side of Trowbridge's car there. Just
oh yeah, and you can see his steering. He's barely pointed straight, and the wheel's 90 degrees to the right. So yeah, he definitely received some serious damage from that one. I'm assuming probably the rear left suspension was all sorts of messed up on that one, and that's why he retired.
Yeah, from what I've been told, the suspensions on these cars are not exactly the strongest of thing. Also, quick apology, I actually got the drivers the wrong way around on that one. It was Trowbridge that made the spin more. A very unfortunate situation either way. Apologies for the confusion there. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to distinguish the drivers in iRacing when you got the TV star cameras and whatnot. But yeah, just either way, just a very unfortunate incident there. I think more just bad luck than anything else.
And the contact seemed very light, very, very light. I mean, there really was not much of a contact at all. I think maybe just the positioning of the contact is what really sent him into the spin. So yeah, I'm sure they were both really trying their best to be as fair and courteous to each other as they could. And yeah, it's very unfortunate. They were running both cars in the points, looking very strong. As you mentioned before, Andreas Merck running in 17th and getting lapped. That means the top three are now lapping points finishers. So these are people that are actually getting points finishes, and they're already lapping people that are in the points, and we're only halfway through the race. So we may end up seeing a few people, even a couple of laps down, possibly at the end. As these guys are going very quick, you got to say it's like a qualifying lap every lap with these guys, or at least it is for Kerry, because he's the one that has to run out in front. And I got to be wondering if he's got. We talked about this in the last race actually when Crekkan was with me. You got to start wondering if Kerry is starting to get suspicious of exactly what is going on behind me. Why am I not getting past? Why are these guys not overtaking me? You gotta at some point you start getting a little bit paranoid, I imagine.
Yeah, it's been these three pretty much line astern for at least a dozen laps now, so it's gotten to a point where like Kerry must know by now, surely, that they're not trying to pass him on purpose. Like, if they wanted to pass him, they would have done so ages ago, and it's clearly a tactical thing. These three are clearly the fastest on track at the moment by quite a long way. Kerry's pace is clearly very good. Because obviously Howson in fourth place is quite far back from the field here. So you know, it probably hurts all three of them if they all start dicing and exchanging the slipstream, and, you know, they all have, you know, passing attempts into corners. It compromises everybody, so it's probably for the best for the two nuclear racing drivers here. Just stay with Kerry for the time being. Maybe wait till the pit window, which we are quite rapidly approaching now on lap 25 and 44 here. Maybe make a move afterwards when the cars are a little bit lighter, maybe on some fresh rubber. Maybe then will be the time to turn up the aggression a little bit. But for now, while they're in clear air, they probably just don't see a real benefit of fighting with each other.
Yep, yeah, for sure. Kerry at the moment, he is still leading. He's still running out in front. I gotta wonder if he's maybe doing anything about his fuel at this point, possibly lifting at the end of the straight, short shifting down the straight, anything like that. But if these guys, if the nuclear racing guys get even one extra lap, that could really mean the difference. Because of course, once you come out of the pits, you're going to have a lot more fuel, and these cars are very quick once their tanks are emptied. So if the nuclear guys are able to even do an extra lap versus Kerry, that's going to make a pretty huge difference. We did see this last time out in Suzuka as well, though. Kerry leading a majority of the race, with Riku sitting behind, and we did hypothesize as well at the time that he might be trying to stay out and save fuel and stay out an extra lap. That didn't happen in Suzuka, but that might be happening here today possibly. There's more straights, certainly. You're flat out for more of the lap and that sort of thing, so I think it's very possible that we might see Kerry forced to pit a lap before the two yellow cars that are behind him.
Indeed, Kerry's got to go full throttle with these two behind him. There's no doubt about that in my mind. And, you know, the draft effect is so powerful here that there's no way Kerry could be on anything less than 100% and stay in the lead. Otherwise, you'd have a real hodgepodge of guys deliberately being slow, and obviously that doesn't help anybody. So Kerry's probably no doubt going flat out as we get a nice on board here of Riku here. And
Riku just lifted, actually. I could hear it in his engine. He lifted as soon as he got up to the back of him.
So there you go, that's the proof that we needed there, the onboard shot of Riku there, deliberately slowing down in the middle of the straight, probably in an attempt to save fuel. He might be getting a little bit of lift and coast as well going through his car at the moment. But if he's been doing that for, I'd say, at least 15, 16 laps at this point, then maybe the collective amount of fuel save could be enough to get him an extra lap.
Yep, I think that might be the goal. He does seem to have struggled a little bit through turn one, though. That's put his teammate right up behind him. But I've got to imagine that they're in communication with each other. They certainly seem to be on the same page strategy-wise as we're coming into the very terrifying turn 5, coming up that hill, off the circuit, let's be honest, off the circuit, up and over the curbing. And then coming into this very nice banked corner at turn 6. It's got that camber to it, which is really nice, really allows you to carry a lot of speed through turn 6. The almost blind apex, turn 7, that could be a difficult one depending on what vehicle you're in. Star Mazda's got a pretty good vision, it's open cockpit, of course, so it's probably a little bit easier to spot that turn 7 apex. But yeah, look at Eunice. Nuka-Rainen right behind him, and here we go, finally, Alatalo, and they do it. Are they? Wow. Oh my God. Alatalo goes through. Nuka-Rainen around the outside, and I think he's going to do it through the final corner, and it looks like he just about has done it. Is he going to carry enough speed onto the start-finish straight? Kerry's still hanging in there with the inside line for turn 1. Riku is now pulling away, and Eunice has done it. In the space of just a few corners, they have passed Kerry, both of them. The two for one. I mean, that was fantastic. Wow, Kerry in the background there, he's gone right off the track. He hit a cone. And he may actually get a slowdown penalty for that, for cutting the circuit potentially. He's certainly got to watch out for that. Now Riku's coming up to lap traffic here, and man, it's all happening now.
It's all kicked off. It looks like Kerry may have been a little bit rattled coming down the other side of that hill, but it looks like Riku finally put the hammer down on that pass, and maybe with low fuel in the cars, they maybe thought, okay, now's the time to strike. It is lap 28 now. We predicted the fuel could last maybe this kind of time, 28, 29, 30, that kind of lap time. So maybe now the Nuclear Racing boys have had a chat and basically thought, you know what, now's the time to pull the trigger on this, and let's see if we can go and win this race.
Yeah, I got to imagine that they're going to try and build a gap, though. So I'm willing to bet that we're not going to see Nukkarainen attacking Alatalo anytime soon. I have a strong feeling that the two of them are going to try and build a gap and at least get Kerry out of their slipstream before they say, right, now let's decide who wins this race. But Kerry's still hanging in there with them. He's doing his best. Certainly, it's got to be psychologically discouraging to be passed twice like that in rapid succession. And again, Kerry seems to be struggling into turn 2 there, turn 3. He's sticking with them, but only barely. And it does seem that Kerry has certainly, at the very least, lost control of this race.
Indeed, yeah. Kerry looks like he was in control. His pace was good, wasn't really making any mistakes, doing just enough to keep them ahead there. Now it's a different situation entirely. Now Kerry's got a chase, and it's going to be interesting to see if the slipstream he'll get from this straight will enable him to be able to keep up with the two Nukkara Racing cars. But with 15.5 laps to go, it's a very different race now.
Yep, yeah, and we got two Finns at the front. They are absolutely running away with it at this point. Kerry's still trying to hang in there, but he doesn't really seem to be. He's braked very late, though, for that corner and closed right up under braking. That is fantastic stuff from Kerry, just as we were... And here they come. They come into the pits, and this is going to be very important for all three of these drivers. It does look like nobody's had any issues at the pit entrance, so it was at the end of lap 29. We're at the start of lap 30 now. All three of them coming down the pit lane on their pit limiters. They're going to be looking for their pit man holding out the board. And then they're gonna hit the brakes very hard. Of course, Riku gets the very first spot, followed by Kerry. It's based on their starting positions, their qualifying positions. So Riku gets the box at the very end, and you can see the flames coming out of his exhaust as he's full throttle, ready to go. And Jonas Nukkarainen does stay ahead of Kerry. So also, it does appear that Riku has maybe gained a little bit of time. Yeah, that is visibly a clear, bigger gap to me. And it looks like there's a little bit of traffic in the way. I think that was Phil Reed. No, that's not traffic. I think they just pit just ahead of him at this point.
Indeed, yeah. It looks like Riku has broken off maybe an extra second and a half advantage, and that might be absolutely critical in the context of the race. We've mentioned before how important the draft is on this track and how important it is to stay in somebody else's slipstream, otherwise you lose so much time. If Jonas is out of that slipstream, he might not be able to get back and be able to challenge for the win again unless his pace is outright faster. It's a 15-lap splash and dash to the finish from here. So we're going to see just how fast these Nukkara Racing guys are when it comes to raw pace, rather than to a degree then piggybacking off each other to a degree with the tow that they've been getting through the race to this point.
Yep, and I think Hausen pit as well, because he's come out just ahead of Saltalamakia, so I think Hausen may have pit as well, possibly. We got a nice little three-way battle here between Hausen, Saltalamakia, and White, as it looked like White was going to shoot up the inside of Saltalamakia there. But yeah, it looks like White closed on Hausen quite a bit during that pit stop phase, so yeah, both of them have pit. Interestingly enough, though, the leaders, I don't think, came out of the pits in the lead. Of course, they came out just ahead of Phil Reed, or Phil Reed was just ahead of them, but he quickly got out of the way as he saw that he was in the middle of interrupting this three-way battle for the lead. But it does look like Nukkarainen has closed back. It's been a lap now since they exited the pits, and it does look like Nukkarainen has closed in. I'm not sure if possibly Alatalo even slowed down to give his teammate the slipstream just so that he could defend from Nolden. I believe they were getting past Martinson there, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that's Martinson that they just went by, who maybe just went in for his pit as well. But here they come down into turn 10. Alatalo still ahead for right now, with Nukkarainen just behind now, but getting that tow.
Yeah, I know you mentioned the possibility that he may have slowed down to give Jonas a chance here, but that might not necessarily work in his favour, given that Kerry is about the same distance behind, and the three are going to bunch up again. We're going to have another three-way fight for the win, it seems, over the next 13, 14 laps or so to the finish.
Yep, and that's what everybody's hoping for. Certainly, that's what I'm hoping for. Fingers crossed here.
Yeah, me too.
Nobody wants to see Kerry out of the race at the end there, like in Suzuka. We would like to see this go to the final, right to the end. I'd like to see a photo finish, even a drag race to the start-finish line. Would be fantastic. There is traffic now that they have to navigate, but so far we haven't really seen any issues with the traffic. Everybody getting out of the way very nicely for this group of the top three. I think everybody knows at this point that these guys are in almost a class of their own, and they're just getting out of the way nicely as Alatalo getting a nice little toe off of Lewis there, and the other two follow suit and get that little toe off of Lewis before pulling to the side and going past him. So Lewis there, very nicely done, giving that slipstream to all three drivers and just maintaining his position, which is really what you want to do when you're being lapped by these guys. You just really don't want to, no big changes of direction. Stick to the line that you're on, and everybody will get by you just fine. So yeah, starting lap 33 now, approaching the three-quarters point of the race now. Everybody should be just about pitting at this point. If they haven't pit already, certainly going to be pitting very shortly here, as we're actually at 75% race distance. So if anybody's still out there on their first stint, kudos to them for managing their fuel that well, because that would certainly be very impressive.
And expert
still
fuel saving taking place there.
Absolutely. Still sticking with this group of three at the moment. I'm not sure exactly how the... Oh, no, as Lewis has had a little bit of a moment in the background there at turn 7. I don't think he's made contact with the barrier, but certainly that's a little disruptive to his race. He's going to have to find reverse or possibly do a 180 spin and try and regain his track position there, and hopefully he hasn't lost any positions. Whoa! And yeah, Nukkarainen just goes right through on Alatalo there, and that's actually allowed Kerry to close right up behind them, which I think this is exactly what the Nuclear Racing guys were trying to avoid earlier in the race, was battling, which would of course hand the advantage over to Kerry.
Yep, it's like, you'd think Nuclear Racing would have gone with the pincer movement here. You've got two cars, they've got one, use them effectively, and there's no reason why you can't finish 1 and 2 in this situation here. But it looks like Nukkarainen's taken matters into his own hands here with 11 laps to go, and he's now put his teammate in a bit of a pressure cooker, hot water situation here, with Kerry all over the back of him now as they come towards the back part of the track.
Yep, here they come into the double right-handers, 6 and then 7. This is that banked corner of 6, and then the very difficult to see apex of 7. Kerry right up on the back of Alatalo now. Alatalo not that far back from Nukkarainen, so he is getting a pretty nice toe. I'm not sure if Kerry is going to have the... No, he already seems too far back considering we're halfway down the straight. But at this point, it wouldn't surprise me if Kerry is trying to pull the same sort of tactics that Nuclear Racing were pulling on him earlier in the race. At this point, it might behoove Kerry to just kind of sit there and hope for something bad to happen, or just wait for the very end. Obviously, there's not much point in passing one of these guys, only to be passed by them the very next lap. But with that being said,
Kerry around the outside here.
Here he goes around the outside of turn 1. He tries to switch back, but no, it's just too high speed of a corner. And then we go into these very tight left, right, left section of turns 2, 3, and 4. So he's certainly letting Alatalo know that he is right there and ready to take his positions back. But he does hold off and stay in that third place position for now.
I mean, if you're Kerry, why not split the pack up and, divide and conquer here, basically, or in this case, just divide and divide by splitting the Nuclear Racing pack up. I mean, first place isn't a million miles away. The draft in that situation, if you can make a clean pass, is still viable. So if second is available and you can feed off the leader, why not take that opportunity on if you can take it?
And I think he might be taking it right now. He does seem a lot closer to Alatalo coming down the straight towards turn 10, and he is right up on the gearbox now. Alatalo defends to the inside. Kerry moves to the outside. He's alongside of him, but yeah, Alatalo's got the track position, and yeah, he just, oh no, he gives him space though. Kerry really wasn't alongside him, but Alatalo, very respectful driver there, gave him space anyway. Still comes out ahead, but that has done wonders for Nukkarainen now, who has probably doubled the gap that was between himself and his teammate. Coming through turn 1 now at the start of lap 36. And this will be a section where they can get a little bit closer, really not losing any time through here as there's some smoke on the track, actually. It looks like a car, Lee and Robinson, I believe, getting lapped there. It looks like he had some sort of excitement through the first couple of corners there and put up a little bit of smoke. And thankfully, though, no interruptions to this race that we have on our hands up at the front. And once again, you really got to say, these guys are just in a class of their own. I mean, the way that they're pulling out from the rest of the field, the proximity that they are to each other, they're very close. Although Kerry not quite as close this lap as he was last lap to Alatalo ahead. But the way that these three guys can run this close for 36 straight laps is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, impressive. Yeah, very good driving from all three guys. Only a hair's width of contact between them. All 36 laps long. They've been pretty much side by side for maybe 35 of the 36 laps in question. And as you mentioned, their pace is electric. That was 13th placed Lee Robinson. They've just put a lap on there. So over half the field has been lapped, like I said before, and just exceptional pace from these three today. In a league of their own house, and in 4th place is not in the same postcode as these three at the moment.
Yep, of course. Oh no, as that's Nukkarainen. He has had a moment at turn 3, at the entrance to turn 3, exit to turn 2, and that has dropped him right off the back of Kerry. Kerry is now piling on the pressure onto the back of Alatalo. He's very close in the slipstream here as they come down towards turn 6. Again, this is that banked corner, so you really don't lose much in the way of time by following very closely behind somebody in that corner. We're skipping on board now. I'm not exactly sure why, but we're skipping on board now to one of the AOR cars. I think this is Martinson, I do believe, as he was lapping. I think that was Robert Plumley. Here we are back on board with... nope, I'm sorry once again. I do apologize about that. Certainly something's going to be...
He's a little bit drunk.
You know, that's what happens when you race on the weekends. So, but yeah, certainly something was going on at the front there. Not sure exactly what happened. We're on board with Leister at the moment, who is, or having a look at Leister at the moment, who is having a look at Martinson, or he's being let by Martinson. I'm not sure. Oh, he's lapping a car. Okay, yeah.
Back to the front.
So Martinson really not having a race, and Kerry's in the lead. I'm not sure how or where or when, but he's taking the lead of this race, and Martinson seems to be going very slow. I'm not sure exactly what's going on with him, but Alatalo for sure still very close. Also worth pointing out, Nukkarainen still very close as well, in spite of that incident that he had. Nukkarainen is still in that slipstream. He's still just in touch with the two cars ahead of him.
Yeah, so apologies there for the camera shots there. Our director was a little bit all over the place on that one, but we actually missed, unfortunately, we missed Kerry's pass for the lead on camera, but Kerry's going to do what he's done before here, only this time I don't think the Nukkara racing cars are going to be quite so conservative on the back straight when it comes to, you know, not passing and saving fuel, with just coming towards 6 laps to go now in this race. Kerry in control, but for how much longer, I don't know.
Yeah, very good point. Yeah, there's not much to this race left. I don't think we're going to be seeing much lifting and coasting, as you mentioned. These guys are going to be going flat out in every corner, every lap, and they're going to be looking to regain that lead. And something tells me that there is no longer any sort of assistance being provided between Alatalo and Nukkarainen at this point. It is now a free-for-all up at the front. Whoever can cross the line first will win that race. We're having a look now. This is a battle between the other ACR car of Timu Valkjärvi, who we haven't seen loads of. He was having a nice little battle there with Patrick White for some nice points there. We're back up to the front now, where Kerry still leading ahead of Alatalo. Only just. Nukkarainen, though, definitely seems... Yeah, he is definitely closing in. Nukkarainen is gaining on this pair. Really not much time left in this race, though. They're going to have to be thinking about exactly how they want to work this. It's a game of chess at this point. You know, these guys are basically all the same speed. It's really going to come down to strategy. These guys are going to have to decide where they're going to pass, how they're going to pull away, how they're going to defend. You know, all these things. That's what's really running through their mind. These guys aren't thinking, oh, you know, where's my braking point for the corner coming up ahead? They're thinking, you know, what's the guy behind me going to do?
Exactly. Yeah, it's a different ball game now with 5 laps to go. As you see, just crossed the line, start lap 40 of 44. It's a different ball game now. You've got to have eyes in the back of your head at all times here. You not only got to focus on you, so we've got a nice little pass here going. I think that's Mittner there in your white car making a move. There.
Oh, that's Valkyarvi again.
Valkyarvi, my bad. Yeah, that's Valkyarvi there. That's a great pass into the chicane there. Going around the outside, maybe to follow along. We've seen this trick a couple of times before, where they take the wider line through the final corner over the line to give you a slingshot into turn 1. And it looks like he's got side by side. He's going to make that move stick coming up the hill, and he's got it. That's very nice. That's a very nice response there. But you were mentioning earlier about the leading free. It looks like also Patrick White's there coming through as well. There may have been some contact there. Nowhere to go on that one.
And Harley Lewis coming up just behind those guys as well. So it looks like there is a 4-place scrap. It looks like that is for 4th right now. So that is actually the battle that's going on behind this battle right now. Here we are with Alatalo. He's got the inside line. I'm very surprised there that Kerry didn't bother to defend the inside line. I got to wonder if he's trying to have a nice run through this turn 10 complex. Of course, Alatalo's line compromised as he had the inside line coming through that, but it really doesn't seem to have done anything for Kerry, and he will start lap 41 in 2nd place and coming under attack from Nukkarainen. This is the closest these 3 guys have been for quite a while. Very, very close between them. There's maybe 5 car lengths from the tip of Alatalo to the rear end of Nukkarainen, with Kerry in the middle. And I gotta say, I do not envy the position that Kerry is in right now.
Yeah, like I think Justin may have been 2 car lengths too generous on that prediction, about 5 car lengths. They are literally wheel to wheel at this point as they split up from the back marker here, down the double right-hander again now, with just what we're looking at, 3.5 laps to go here now, and Kerry's got to be very, very careful here. Jonas has been given a reprieve for that earlier mistake. Now the front 3 are all bunched together again. Riku is in control. He's got a couple of extra car lengths here, but they'll be gone by the time they get to the end of this straight. If you're Kerry, you've now got to wonder when's the right time to pull the trigger, because you're going to get a draft off these guys. It's just going to be a matter of when do you make the move, more than essentially what's going to happen from behind, because you've got that toe in front of you. So it's all a matter of when do you make the move more than anything else, as we go to an on-board now with Kerry as he comes down the hill and over the start-finish straight to start lap 42 of 44. Just 3 laps to go on this one. It's very tense here, Justin. I mean, I have no idea what's going to happen now. We're taking a very wide line here from Riku in the lead going into turn 1. Doesn't seem to have hurt him too badly, but this is very tense with just 3 laps left.
Yeah, this is nail-biting stuff. I mean, I mentioned I feel bad for Kerry, but I mean, really any one of these drivers. I mean, Alatalo's in the lead right now, which means it's his to lose. I mean, that's an incredible amount of pressure. Kerry is running in 2nd place, which is not the place that he wants to finish in, of course. But that means he has the huge task of trying to pass Riku Alatalo ahead of him. I mean, he is sandwiched in the middle of 2 race winners right now. So far, the only people that have won races in this league are the man in front of him and the man behind him from Nuclear Racing. Kerry Nolden, he's had a pole position. He's started on the front row at every race this season now. 3 out of 3 front row starts. He's got the slipstream. Alatalo defends to the inside. Kerry's gonna have to go to the outside. He's definitely got him under braking. Oh yeah, and he just breezes right through as they come through the final set of corners here to start the penultimate lap.
Yep, Kerry's going to desperately want that first race win. Nuclear Racing have been the team to beat so far this series. Kerry's been very, very unlucky when it comes to circumstances and situations this season beyond his control. Bad connections, the broken wheel at Laguna Seca in the opening round, which I commentated on. He's going to desperately want that first win. I wonder, has he gone too soon? Because in this pack, I think the place you want to be is second. Make the last possible pass more than anything else. I mean, if you're at the front in this pack, as we've seen in this race and the story of this race, you're definitely vulnerable if you're in the lead here.
Yeah, I think he's actually set himself up pretty well, though. I think what Kerry needs to understand here is that he is likely to be passed on lap 43, but as long as he stays close, he can make the pass on this exact straight next lap, on the final lap, and he can take that lead with just a couple of corners remaining, and I think Kerry has set himself up. He's in a good position at this point. Kerry's defending the inside line this time, and oh no, and Kerry has spun off into the barrier, and he hit that barrier very hard. The entire front of his car missing at this point. Alatalo continues on down the road. It doesn't, whatever happened to Kerry there does not appear to have affected Alatalo in the slightest, as he is still continuing on, and he starts the final lap of the race now with the Nuclear Racing boys in a 1-2 position. So after winning the opening 2 rounds of this season, it looks like they're going to get a 1-2 finish just to close things off here in round 3. Obviously, something might happen between the two of them. I wonder if Nukkarainen is going to fancy his chances at maybe stealing the lead of this race in the closing stages. But at the moment, it does look like Nuclear Racing going to get a 1-2 finish here at Road Atlanta.
Birthday and Christmas present rolled into one for Nuclear Racing there. That's going to steal them a few extra points off poor Kerry, who once again has suffered a horrible accident at the worst possible time, the penultimate lap, and it's a very unfortunate situation for Kerry now. I'd love to see a replay of that. It looks like there may have been contact. The next thing you know, Kerry's in the wall and out of the race. But Riku here now has got one last job to do on this back straight. Can he defend from his teammate Jonas Nukkarainen here as we head down the back straight for the final time? Lap 44 into the chicane. Riku looks he's done just enough here. Jonas has not got a way around here. They're going to come up and down the hill through the tunnel for the final time in the last corner. Riku's going to keep it very tight to that near apex on the final corner, and it's going to be Riku to take the win for Nuclear Racing over his partner Jonas. 1 and 2 for Nuclear Racing over the line. A great finish and a dramatic finish to what's been a very tense and nerve-wracking race.
Yep, and that is a total finish domination at the end of the race here as the two Finns finish 1-2. Alatalo gets his second race win in a row now, so that's 2 on the trot for Alatalo. It does look like Housen is going to very, very narrowly finish ahead of Patrick White, very narrowly. It looks like a very nice battle for 4th position that was going on there in the back. This is Christoph Leister. Is he still coming under attack? Yeah, I believe that's Mittner. Mittner right on the back of Leister, coming through the final corner now, though. And it does look like, pending any incidents, he is going to hang on to that position. He sure does, with Mittner very hot, close behind him. Hot pursuit right behind him. Very close finish for those two guys. And wow, what a finish. Absolutely fantastic. Unless, of course, your name is Kerry Nolden, who once again had that crash on the penultimate lap. Very unfortunate. In the end, though, 2 tenths separating the Nuclear Racing guys. Alatalo wins from Nukkarainen. Housen, though, gets another podium. That's 3 podiums in a row from Housen. The consistency that he has shown is just absolutely amazing. Patrick White grabbing 4th. I'm sure he's going to be very happy about that. Timu Valkjärvi gets 5th. Gregor Reineck gets 6th. Phil Reed in 7th. Christoph Leister in 8th, just ahead of Michael Mittner. And quite a ways back is Gino Vandenbroek rounding out that top 10. In 11th, we have Kerry. He was not able to complete lap 44 because of his incident. His race pretty much ended at the end of lap 43. So Kerry finishes first of the people that were lapped, gets 11th and some nice points. Andreas Merck is the next car after that in 12th, followed by Leanne Robinson, Harley Lewis, Martinson in 15th. He's going to be very disappointed with that, followed by Saltalamakia and Plumley are the last of the finishers in a race where only 17 people finished this racetrack.
Yeah, crazy how only 17 cars finish. You normally expect a lot more in this kind of format, and I think it's the lowest amount of finishes we've had in a race so far this season. So yeah, I was very surprised to see that only 17 cars made it over the line, and you do not get any points if you do not finish. So the lowest scorer ended up getting 4 points in the end. So as that said, it can just shows you the amount of DNFs here on the last screen here. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate for Cunniff as well that you see him 23rd there. I mean, he was right up at the front. He was in that battle in the top 5 in the opening stages of the race. And unfortunately, we didn't really get a good shot of what happened with him, but Cunniff certainly is going to be very disappointed by that. Broadmeadow as well. He was sort of in the top 10, so Broadmeadow is certainly going to be disappointed with that. Cam Stark, of course, had that big incident at the wall. But go ahead and take us through the Drivers' Championship, Dre.
Yep, Jordan Howson leads the championship with 69 points out. Consistency is really coming and reaping dividends right now. Riku Alatalo in second place with 63 points, 6 points behind. Eunice Nukarainen there, 56 points there, another 7 points back in third. And it's still very close between them. Patrick White there in fourth with 52 points, and Phil Reed in fifth place, just a further point behind on 51. Yumi Valkyriavi there in sixth place with 42, just ahead of Michael Mittner with 39. And you have Demeno and Kerry Nolan there in 10th with 26 points, just on the first page there. Very unfortunate. You'd think it may have been a heck of a lot more if certain things had gone his way today, more than anything else. Kind of the story of this season, unfortunately. On the second page, he's just ahead of Martinson there in 11th place with 25 points. The midfield very close at the moment. Andreas Merck there with 24. Got Wiseman there with 20, and as you run your way down, you've got Baxter on 19, Robinson in 16, and so on and so forth. We've got Gino there in 20th place with 11 points as well. He had a solid 10th place today as well on top of that.
Yeah, a nice points finish for him, certainly, at Road Atlanta, in what was a difficult race for all the drivers. But just to touch on it again, Kerry Nolan, of course, had the most difficult race. All that pressure, all that leading, all those laps led and everything, and at the end of the race, in order to get that to come home a lap down, that's got to be very disappointing for him for sure. Bringing up the tail end of the points, Robert Plumlee's got 10. Van Rompuy, who wasn't at the race today, he's got 7 to Lewis, who also has 7 as well. Merkulitz is the lowest of the drivers who have scored so far. He's got 3 points in 28th place, while Daniel Evans and John Broadmeadow haven't scored yet. And Broadmeadow's been right up there near the front guys, maybe not top 5, but top 10. He's certainly been in the mix for some points. He had an incident in Suzuka, which you may have missed, Ray, where he had an issue coming out of the pits or something like that. So he's certainly... Yeah, he is not going to be happy about having not scored yet. Rest of the non-scorers here, Chris Frazier, Peter Newman, Martin Van Luzenoort, Cam Stark, and Nigel Spears have all failed to score points so far. But we're only 3 races in to this 11-race season, so these guys still have plenty of chances to come back to us. And go ahead, take us through the Teams Championship. Yeah,
Nuclear Racing, as proven so far, the team to beat. They have every race win so far this season. They have a 54-point lead over the ACR, who have now overtaken Team AOR in the standings after their very close running results today. ACR not having the best of luck themselves, with Trowbridge and Vandenbroek colliding there for ending Trowbridge's race, and Team AOR had just a miserable week at the office, really. Martinson and Lucan scoring very, very small amount of points there. Kerry could have had so much more as well on top of that. Quite a distant gap though ahead of Team iRacing, 4th with 20 points as well. And moving on to the Independent Championship, Howson, as we've mentioned before, leads the way with 85 points. He's 21 points ahead of Patrick White in second, who is very, very close running there, as we mentioned before, with Phil Reed with 63 points in third, Mittner 4th with 50, Christopher Leister riding off the top 5 with 47.
Yeah, very close, as you mentioned, between those two. In fact, they were battling on track today as well. So I think that might be a rivalry to watch in future races between White and Reed there. But yeah, it's surprising to see Domenico Domeno down in 6th there. He was a podium finisher at the opening race in Laguna Seca. So certainly he's got to be a little disappointed with not continuing that trend that he had at the start of the season, getting that podium, and to be down where he is now, certainly that's not what he was hoping for, I would imagine.
Indeed, especially after Domeno had didn't have a very good race in Suzuka at all, from what I recollect, and not racing this round obviously isn't going to help either.
Yep, yeah, didn't race at Road Atlanta, unfortunately. There are going to be drop weeks that come into effect towards the end of the championship, so it's not the end of the world to miss a race. You do have to drop points from your worst races and whatnot, so And we may see some of that coming up next week at Donington, which is a relatively new track to iRacing. Obviously, it's a classic British motor racing track. Lots of tight corners, some very fast corners, that very high-speed chicane. It should throw up some very impressive racing.
Yep, brand new track to a lot of people. First time I think the Star Mazdas are coming here, so I'm looking very much to seeing how that one turns out.
Yep, yeah, we could see some surprises at the front. That's next week coming up for Donington. Thanks to Fizzy, thanks to Crekkan, thanks to Dre, of course. I've been Justin, and thanks everybody for watching.